Apologies for absence.
I have to report that this afternoon I have received resignation from Councillor Anir, who is no longer a councillor. I haven't heard anything from Councillor Blackwell or Councillor Atkins at this time.
Okay. Okay. Item number 2, declarations of interest. Okay. Item number 3, to receive a report from Squadron Leader Geary.
Good evening, Chair. Good evening, councillors. It seems like a very, very long time ago that I was last up here. It's just been that I've been away or things have been happening here, so I've not been able to come and report in person. But hopefully you've been getting the written reports each month as well, so you've been kept up to date with what's going on. Looking back over February, normally February is quite a quiet month for the US Air Force for a number of reasons. It's a short month. There's holidays in there, and also the weather's normally bad. But during February, the weather was very kind to us. So despite that short month, despite the holidays, they managed to achieve all of their training sorties during the month. In addition to that, the Wing continued to have aircraft and personnel deployed in Poland for deterrence operations on NATO's eastern flank. And they also hosted visiting aircraft from Hill Air Force Base and deployed aircraft to Norway during the latter part of February and the early part of March. And we've got aircraft out in Denmark at the moment as well. I hosted an immersion visit for some new members of the British Defence Staff from London. They're the guys, the group that liaise between the embassies in the UK and the embassies in the US to make sure everything runs smoothly. So they came over at the beginning of February. And we had, last month as well, we had the first meeting, in fact it was the 1st of March actually, so it was this month. We had the first meeting of the brand new British-American Committee. So Lakenheath and Millwall have merged into a single British-American committee now. There's a group of people that sit on that. And the idea of that committee is to take some of the strategic issues from the senior leaders in the US Air Force, the issues that are affecting them, and look at how that committee can help resolve some of those strategic issues. So there was a whole load of stuff discussed at that first meeting. But one of the issues that came out of it, or one of the requests from the US Air Force, was to help with the publicity of jobs that exist at Lakenheath and Mildenhall for members of the local population. So there'll be a number of measures going on, but one of the outcomes from that was the potential to be able to advertise those opportunities through parish and town council newsletters. So if you're up for that, I can send you the details so that can be included as part of the minutes. And we might recall about just over 12 months ago, I think I stood up here and stated that RAF Lakenheath have been awarded the Commanders-in-Chief Installation Excellence Award for 2021. They've been shortlisted down to 2 again this year. So then we had hosted a visit back in January from the Installation Excellence Review team. The actual award hasn't been announced yet, so we don't know yet, but we're still waiting on the outcome of that. Looking forward to the King's Coronation weekend, there's quite a few areas within 48 Fighter Wing in particular that are really keen to get out and help out if there is any of the big help out events happening on the bank holiday weekend, on the Monday in particular of the coronation weekend. So if you have got any projects, everybody's been encouraged to do community projects. If there are any projects, if you contact me, let me know, and we'll try and get some volunteers to help you out for the big help out projects. Pending any questions, that is it from me for this month, Chair.
Okay, any questions?
What's the other base then? If there's been, Lakenheath's been shortlisted and there's one,
it's one in the States, and I can't remember which one it is.
Oh,
it's
it's not in the UK?
No. So the award is for the best installation in the whole of the US Air Force. So it's a training base back in the States is the other one that's been shortlisted.
Okay.
Yeah.
Were you able to check that information about Eglin Air Force Base?
I did.
Yes,
I have, but I've not got the results with me. I do apologise.
Thanks,
I will send it through with the minutes, with the report. Okay. I'll send it through the minutes. But yes, I did check the information. I'll get it out for the minutes for you. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Could you tell me again, please, advertising on the base? Did you say it is just for purely base jobs that the local population might be interested in applying for? Not general advertising, I suppose.
What do you mean by general advertising?
Well, my business I would like to advertise.
Oh, okay, no, so this is the base reaching out to the local population,
Yes.
not the population reaching in. However, if you've got things that you're looking to advertise on the base, there are mechanisms for doing that as well.
Oh, so how would I find out about that?
So probably best to speak to me in the first instance, and
And
then
your
I can.
office, what do you come under? Your office is?
RAF Commander's office.
Right.
Yeah, if you speak to me in the first instance, then I'll try and hook you up with the right people.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Okay.
Just one other thing
Yeah.
for you that I didn't mention in the report. So just so you're aware, I've received a couple of complaints about aircraft noise over the top of Brandon, and I have met face to face with a local resident from the town as well, just to talk through it. You might recall, again, probably about 6 months ago, I said about the taking off of the 06 was changing. So the formal change still hasn't been pushed through. So you might see on occasion the odd one will make the mistake and come over the top of Brandon. We do seem to have an issue when we get visiting aircraft in for some reason. The message doesn't get through to them. But the operations team are doing their best to try and make sure that those visiting aircraft are told to bypass around Brandon. And the change should be going into the full orders. Told me the early part of this year, but with Headquarters Air Force busy doing other stuff at the moment, it might be a little bit slower than that. But there is still an acknowledgement that they need to check and scoot round Brandon rather than flying over the top. My plea would be, if you do see them flying over the top, then let me know, time, date, etc. That way then I can go and find out the whys and wherefores of it.
That has been happening at night when they've been doing the night flying, when they've been taking off about tea time.
Okay.
They've been coming up and they've been coming right across the top of the estates here.
Okay. So
Yeah.
if you can
I can't remember the dates,
grab.
but yeah.
But if it happens in the future, if you can grab the date and the time of when it happens and let me know, then I can go back and I can see if there are any trends of people that are doing it.
I should think that's to do with your night flying exercises, I would
No, there
assume.
should be. There should still be fine now. So
Yeah.
okay.
Well,
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.
Very much.
Thank you.
Have a good meeting. See you next time.
Papers under the chair.
They're
Okay, all right then. Thank you.
Okay, item number 4, to receive, confirm and sign the minutes of the Brandon Town Council meeting held on Monday the 13th of February. I'll propose them. Councillor Everington's going to second them.
Who signed us?
Councillor Everington, have you got a comment to make, Councillor?
Yes.
Okay, fire
The
away.
top line on page 550 should read mayor, not major.
You're absolutely right. We should see mayor, not major. Top line. Okay.
550.
Yep.
Okay.
Councillor Cannick.
No, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a small adjustment to the minutes of last month's meeting, because minutes are about facts and not opinions. Penny Edring here accuses me of last month of pure electioneering. That is completely untrue. That's on page 550. Impossible, in fact, because the nominations for the election won't be declared until after the 4th of April. So, Graham, if we can just have those words removed, then we can move on, and I'll vote in favour of the minutes. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
That was a description of his behaviour. It wasn't. That was his.
Chairman, if I may respond.
You feel free.
Penny, you've got no evidence to substantiate your claim that I was electioneering. No leaflet was put around the table, no speech to vote for so-and-so, yet you still made an untrue and flippant comment. You have got no evidence to substantiate your claim. There was no electioneering done by me last month in any way, shape or form. I would appreciate it, Graham, if those two words were removed.
Well, you don't have to say vote for me to be electioneering.
Where is the evidence I was electioneering? There is none. Right? That was a flippant comment. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Any other comments? We'll move to vote.
Oh, hang on.
Yeah, oh, just hold it.
Yeah. I've got a couple of pieces here that.
We'll do that in the matters rising.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah, I
sorry.
think that'd be better. You did say that earlier.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay. So those in favour of that, well, that's
Excuse me, Chairman. Are the words being
Yeah, have you amended those?
Are you amending those?
Yeah, I will
Yeah.
amend those.
They
And
were,
we leaving it that I
they-
object to.
they will,
You really should have a vote on whether, we surely should have a vote on whether we want them amended in that way.
Okay. Well, if we want to do it like that, so you're going to put your councillor Kenny, you're proposing to amend those minutes to that point then? If that's what we've got to do, we'll do it.
I'll propose it. Do I have a seconder?
Councillor Widham,
Hang on.
to make that amendment.
Yeah.
Okay, so those in favour of that amendment, please. Okay, those against that amendment. Okay, so that stays then, I'm afraid. Okay, so those in favour of the actual minutes. So those in favour of the minutes there. Those against? 2 then. Any abstentions? I think we've all voted, didn't we? Yeah. Okay, so we'll move on to item number 5, matters arising from the last full council meeting. I believe the town clerk has got one that he's been requested. We'll start with that one, and then we'll go from there.
I've received a couple of communications, so it's actually 2, not 1. One being from Councillor Margaret Marks, who addressed the meeting, and she states, you have my absolute support on the issue of phlebotomy, and it's something I already raised with Suffolk Health Scrutiny and other health bodies before Councillor Palmer asked me to support him with Brandon's issues. It is really such a shame that the GP surgeries cannot cover this completely as they used to. But we now have a fragmented service paid for with different pockets of money. It seems to present multiple challenges. One rather hopes that the words integrated care would mean streamlined services, but somehow that does not feel like it. Currently I sit on the Suffolk Health Council Health Scrutiny Committee, which does give me a voice for change, but of course that will depend on May elections. Regardless, I truly believe that Liz Mahoney will do all in her power to improve your service, and I'm sure Councillor Palmer will keep you well informed of the situation. I have established that Councillor Cannick did not speak to the Haverhill Mayor, but with Councillor John Burns. Perhaps you may wish to correct this in your minutes. I did mention the project with SCC on Community Catalyst, and the lady you may wish to contact is Veronica Breeze. Veronica is the coordinator for this project in West Suffolk and is supposed to be introducing the concept of supporting potential applicants to fill these roles. I go on. This is a mail which I was copied in on from Margaret. From Margaret, and it was a copy of a mail to Councillor Cannick from Councillor John Burns. I understand that a Brandon TC meeting comments were made that Haverhill has a full phlebotomy service based on the response I made to your recent email request asking if we had such a service. At no time did I say we have a full service. What I said was the Haverhill family practice, of which I'm a patient, is capable of taking blood for full tests, but did not specifically say it offered a full service to all its patients. That very much depends upon the nature of the patient's condition, which may require hospital specialists. The availability of laboratory services, time of the day, availability of appointments, speed of results needed, and many other factors. But personally, I'm happy with the service they operate, as I'm never in a rush. Those with more serious conditions may not agree and have to travel elsewhere. The other surgery, Unity Health, offer a similar service, so I believe I'm not a patient, but perhaps with less availability. It also has to be considered in the light that we have no direct bus service to West Suffolk Hospital, none at all to Newmarket. if they have to go to hospital, opt to go to Addenbrooke's or elsewhere, increasing the cost for the local health authority. I have no data on how many blood tests are carried out in the town versus elsewhere for our residents. If you need more detailed data on that across West Suffolk, then it has to come from the relevant, knowledgeable health personnel.
Thank you. Any other matters arising?
Yes, just one from me, Chair. At the last Brandon Town Council meeting, Margaret Marks talked to the council on the review of the phlebotomy services in Brandon. On behalf of Brandon Town Council, I'd like to apologise for the way she was treated by one of our Brandon Town Council members. We also have a problem with our town hall clock, and I'll ask the clerk to give us an update of that situation at some point, please.
You passed me a few questions today, and I can answer those. Has it been repaired yet? The answer is no. The extent of the repairs required, these are as per quotation, which means the removal of the some of the mechanism and of the hands. The estimated cost of these repairs is approximately £2,296, and has a contract been given for these repairs? Yes. The work starts on the 22nd of March and will require 2 visits, one to take out bits of the mechanism, take them back to their workshop, and then the second one, when it is completed, to return and to put the mechanism back together.
Thank you. That's all we have.
Any other matters arising?
Can I ask a question on
Yeah.
that? Who is providing the scaffolding for it?
I have no idea how they're going to take them out. That is, as far as I'm concerned, is their thing is not in their quotation, but they have stated that they're doing the work.
Okay. I take it you're giving them a set of wings.
Sorry?
I take it you're giving them a set of wings.
Yeah.
Did you have your hand up?
Yes, I did. Coming back to the blood testing, I'm a patient at the High Street, and I had a blood testing on the 22nd, and I asked the nurse, got it from the horse's mouth, that she cannot do Berry Road surgery because she's actually employed by Earlbourne House down the High Street. So that's the reason why she can't do both. She's actually employed, so
Yeah.
I thought she was freelance, but she told me no, she's not. So she'll only do where she's employed.
Well, thanks for asking the question. Okay. Any other matters arising before we move on? Okay. Item number 6, urgent business. Any item the chairman considers urgent business? I've got none, so we'll move on. Item number 7, to receive a written report from the town clerk. We've all received that. So we'll move on to item number 8, which is the public forum. I will propose we suspend standing orders for this part. Do I have a seconder for that? Councillor Moore. Okay, those in favour of suspending standing orders for this part of the meeting? Looks like everybody got on.
Yeah.
Okay, so should we start with the... Yeah, with yourself? Yeah? You want to go first?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I've got 3 very brief issues on the counter report. The abandoned car, several people have approached about the abandoned car on Colson Lane. It stands on Suffolk County Council land, and they referred it to the district because the district have got the enforcement capability. And the officer has been out today. I met him over there today, and he's put an enforcement notice on the car. It will take. There is a process. He has to go through a legal process. I make no guarantees, but I think the car should be gone within 3 or 4 weeks. And I don't think the people of Branner should put up with a car just being dumped at the side of the road like that. That's item number 1. Item number 2 is not good news for the station, I'm afraid, ladies and gentlemen. You all know that the Norwich platform is shut. and the footbridge is shut. You can't get out. You can't get out on the left-hand side. What's happened is the front wall has collapsed, and all that fine flint work, which is why the building was listed, is laying on the floor. The wall supports the roof. To rebuild the wall, the roof has got to come off. It's not pretty down there, and I'm not sure what the future is for that building, but that was all caused by neglect on behalf of Network Rail. That's a parapet gutter on there, and I've mentioned it before. If parapet gutters are not watertight, all the water runs into the brickwork, and what's happened, that's degraded the lime mortar, and that's why the wall is unstable. I think that's a long-term problem down there. I don't know whether there's any members of, say, the station committee around the table, but perhaps they'd like to add to my comments. Final item, Mr. Chairman. We do have some good news. Highways have informed me this week that they will be putting in a wheelchair ramp. This is in the West Ward, a wheelchair ramp fronting Manor House Close, and that's in St Peter's Approach. I'm funding that from my highways budget. I mean, if there's any councillors are in a position to help those inconvenienced people, then that's what we should do. That's why we're here. I hope I don't get accused of electioneering by putting a wheelchair ramp in St Peter's Approach. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
That concludes my report.
Yeah. Have you got anything to add for district or anything?
I've got a good question for
Feel free.
Victor, what do you know about these roadworks on this junction, Thursday and Friday?
I know nothing about
Water authorities doing it.
all
three roads.
This Thursday and Friday.
Thursday and Friday.
I haven't been informed because the utilities they just go ahead and do it. They don't have to.
They're putting up three-way lights there.
Okay, well that'll be really quite.
Could be fun, wouldn't it?
I'll try and find out. Thanks for the question, Councillor Van. I'll try and find out a little bit more and get back to you.
Right, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Have you got something, Phil, for district or not?
A couple of points. One very quick one, and it's something I've gone on about in the past, but I can report that both myself and Councillor Lucanic voted against the mid-term budget at the West Suffolk, the West Suffolk District Council, for several reasons. The broken housing delivery system in Brandon and the local plan, and the fact that there's nothing in the local plan and no provision in the budget for Brandon whatsoever. Also that they're initially wanting to spend 40 plus million out of a total 140 million planned spend on an unnecessary sports centre and hub in Western Way, which not least the money, but the location is all wrong. I mean, that place is gridlocked most of the day anyway. And put another great big attraction in it, it's just ridiculous. So we couldn't support that. Garden waste collection service, and that it's the 7th year that it's been run, and it says here that the service is now finishing, but what they mean is that the website is closing down for subscriptions for 22-23, so you can no longer sign up to it. It will open again in April, so from April on you can sign up for collections, and through the normal way on their website. We'll give them a ring. They say that they collected 77,500 tonnes of garden waste since the start, which is quite a lot of bramble and grass cutting. But next year, from April, the price will go up from £45 to £47. Any queries, contact Mark at West Suffolk.
Okay.
That's me. Thank you.
Councillor Palmer, have you got a district report?
No, I haven't got anything to add anything at the moment.
Okay. Okay, we'll go with Councillor Woodrow, then we'll ask you to come in. Yeah? All right.
Yeah.
Yeah, go for it.
Right. You just said about the brown bin waste.
Mhm.
increasing from 45 to 47. It's a shame I didn't cut it out in the newspaper. But the newspaper said that the government was saying that the local authorities charging people for brown bin waste was illegal.
I
Have you
wish
seen that?
I haven't seen it, but if you come
I saw
across
it in the
it,
newspaper, and it said the local authorities were illegal, breaking the law by charging people for brown bin waste when they already get council tax revenue for doing that service.
yeah, if you can find that out, I'll certainly take it and challenge.
And to increase it from 45 to 47,
Yeah,
and when you've just said sort of 900 or 800,000 tonnes, you know, they've collected,
mm.
you know, they get revenue from that, don't they?
Yeah.
Because
I
it
mean,
decomposes into peat.
yeah. I mean, personally, when it came in 8 years ago, I refused to sign up, and I've never had a brown bin out.
Well, I was one of the district councillors that voted against it when I was on district.
Yeah,
Against
and I know one that voted for it,
and I think it's
a Brandon district councillor.
for a county councillor. You just said about the railway station. It was news to me that the Norwich side has been closed. How do people alight from Ely to Brandon?
You can't.
They can't. They go to Thetford.
My wife had to, my wife,
They've got to go to.
my wife the other Friday had to change her ticket. She was going to Cambridge. Bearing in mind that I think the ticket was something like £16. She got to back to Thetford and then had to get a taxi, which was nearly £20 just to get to home.
Mm.
They have now put a bus service in. The bus service has been missing, but I spotted one of the buses coming out tonight, which was heading through to Thetford. So it appears the replacement bus service, which was supposed to have been there, hasn't been there, but I think it's now been restored by the look of things anyway.
Well, surely the logical way to travel then, if they can't alight at Brandon, is going to Ely to Thetford, even with a Brandon railway ticket, with no extra charge. If they charge you extra to go to Thetford, that is actually illegal. And then they get a train from Thetford to Brandon with no extra charge. That is the way. That is the way.
I think that's what they
There
do.
are several railway lines in the UK where they don't have trains stopping on one side of the platform, and they have to go past their place. They have to go past their place, the station, because it doesn't actually stop there. They go on to the next station, then they get over the footbridge, then they get another train, and that train takes them back to where they've only just been passed because the train does not stop. But there's no extra charge.
Yeah, no, I think that does come into effect here as well.
Right, and then there's one,
Could we do one thing at a time? Could Graham check up on this business about brown bin legality, the charges for it?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Sure. Yeah.
Let me know then, Graham, and I will challenge.
Yeah, of course. I'll find out about what the discussion is and what the state of play is with it. Yeah.
I don't doubt what Councillor Ridgewell says in the paper, but with the best will in the world, not everything in the newspaper is
Quite.
yeah.
I'm sure
strictly
South will know.
factual.
I'm sure South will know.
I can ask anyway.
Okay.
Then for our county councillor, I've been travelling quite a lot, back and forth hospitals, etc., etc. But I noticed the Berry Road going to Elverden, the grass verges are being eroded because of the heavy lorry traffic, and to make the road wider, shouldn't the road now be widened and fill up the track that the lorries have now made? Because any small car, you're shaking your head, but any small car can easily do a lot of damage by coming off the road and the wheels getting into the rut that the lorries have caused by the earth being eroded by the lorry wheels.
Is that a question to me?
Yes.
Thank you, Councillor Ridgeway.
I was looking at Phil because he was shaking his head. That was the reason.
No, I was dying to answer you.
Good question. I had highways out nearly 2 or 3 years ago on that issue, and you're absolutely right. It's when the two HGVs meet each other on the highway, and they don't slow down, and it's the size of the mirrors. They're trying to avoid breaking the mirrors, but what they do, they drop the offside wheel into the verge, and that's churned all the verge up. And they won't put any holding material in there. I've seen them. They go along there and they just put planings. They put planings in there, and once that gets wet, the same old thing. I had asked, right, highways whether they would widen the road from here to Elvedon, and then beyond Elvedon to Wordwell. I've asked them to widen that because that is so dangerous, and they said to me there is no chance. There is no money for that. They regard that as a big project. To widen that road an extra wide from Wordwell to Brandon would be a fortune. I have raised it. Good point. All I can say is be very, very careful on that. That is Leaper, that road. If you're a novice driver, I suggest don't drive down there at night. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Yes.
Yes, and then I'll let Gary.
Thank you, Chair. Yes. Peter, both the Thetford Road and that road, the Blackberry Road, are B-class roads. They should not have the heavy goods going through them, which is why about 3 years ago this council voted to support an HGV ban through Brandon, High Street, London Road and Rattlers Road. Now, despite what people say, that would not stop vehicles delivering into the town, because those specifically say coming to deliver rolls of carpet to the carpet shop would have licence to come in and easily sorted on number plate recognition. It would stop all of the through traffic that comes down from North Lincolnshire and North Norfolk and straight through Brandon and Bury Road and Thetford Road. And also the aggregate facility on the Norfolk side coming straight through, delivering everywhere. The preferred route always was the A11, which is why it was dualled. And the preferred route for that end of the east end of the town is Munford Roundabout, Thetford and A11. From the west of the town, it's Mildenhall, A11. The only, if you had that ban within the High Street, the London Road, from Tesco's traffic lights through to Aldi, Aldi can be serviced, Lignacite, everything that end of the town can be serviced from Munford. The Tesco's can still deliver to their store, but it would stop all the through traffic, and 90% of the lorries coming through this town are just driving straight through. They're not delivering anywhere in the area. As Councillor Lukanowicz said, that would be an extraordinarily large amount of money to widen that road, and if you did that, it would exacerbate the problem, make the problem worse in our high street. So the thing is, we don't want it widened, we want it made safe, and the way to do that is to stop the heavy goods using it.
Yeah. What about the damage to the people's cars?
You would go, if you have damage to your cars, you go through the normal claims process on Highways Department, and I can tell you that is torturous.
There must be lots of people who have
yeah, there are. It is very dangerous. And that's why it's so urgent that we all get together and put pressure on to get an HGV ban through our town.
But there are signs before the Elvedon flyover. The signs say to Swaffham is further, not Elvedon, but further up to Sainsbury's roundabout, then Gallows Hill roundabout, Munford Road to Munford roundabout.
Yeah,
the signs say that for the lorry drivers. They don't say, where the sign says Swaffham, it doesn't say Swaffham turn left here.
No.
The arrow is straight ahead.
That's it, but they don't pay any attention. They don't pay any attention.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a brief word about those dangerous ruts down that we never had an issue with ruts down there until the aggregate facility pitched up at the station. And those convoys of delivering that sugar stone from the station to the sugar beet factory, those convoys have caused those ruts. 10 years ago we never had that problem. Since they shipped that sugar stone from Ely, every 2 weeks there's 300 metal wagons come down and deliver that sugar stone at the station. It's since they pitched up in Brandon. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Gary?
Yeah, going back with where they were saying about the trains and going up to Thetford and then coming back down, I think it should be made clear that there's no disabled facilities at Thetford to get from A to B. You can't cross the track. So I don't know whether they have to go to the Wyndham, Attleborough, where they have to go. But that would be
Norwich,
an issue for disabled people.
I think it's Norwich.
Okay. Yeah, but the train can
Yeah.
depart on both sides, can't it?
No, but even when it's operational, there's no facility for a disabled person to get from this side of the road crossing to the other.
Are you saying they can't cross from Thetford?
Yeah, because what it is, there's just gates. You're supposed to use the bridge, so the way round is through the Abbey estate.
Yeah, quite a
on the
Well,
bridge around the Abbey
They
estate.
must be able to cross the track.
No.
Well, I'm sorry, I disagree with you there.
You can't.
I've been running my granddaughter to Thetford every day this week because she's at the college at Norwich, and because the trains don't stop here, she has to get on at Thetford.
Yeah, you can go over the bridge.
I'm going to say you
You
must be able to
can't,
get across
if
the
you
track.
were
Yeah.
disabled, you
Yeah.
wouldn't.
Oh, I don't know about disabled. Yeah, I thought you meant you couldn't get across.
Yeah, no, we used to get it a lot of taxi work and
Yeah.
like wheelchair
Yeah.
passengers.
Yeah.
You had to pick up, literally you get a job to pick up at one side and just drive round to get to the other platform.
Okay. Yes, Sue?
Can I ask Councillor Lucanix some questions about item 15? The
Feel free, you can have your
service?
3 minutes and go from there.
Okay, right. Margaret Marks has been working alongside Councillor Palmer to find a solution to this problem for a number of months and has made considerable progress. Is Councillor Lucanix actually working with Councillor Palmer and Margaret Marks? That's one question.
Can I answer that question
Yeah.
first? Yep. I was quite willing to work with anybody for the benefit of the people of Brandon, but when Councillor Palmer and Margaret Marks had a private meeting and didn't invite us along, I just assumed we weren't invited.
I wasn't aware that the meeting was private, so, but it was just a yes no answer really I wanted. So the answer sounds like it's no.
I haven't been asked to work
Okay.
with Councillor. He had the opportunity to ask me to work with him, he hasn't.
So you've asked for funding from the parish council.
Sorry?
You've asked for funding.
No, not
from
yet. No, not yet.
Item 15.
I haven't asked as yet.
No, item 15. I said, can I ask some questions about item 15?
Yeah, carry on then.
So, in regard to that funding, it's Suffolk County Council and West Suffolk Council who have some responsibilities for health. Town and parish councils have no responsibility for health whatsoever. So, what approach have you made to Suffolk County Council and West Suffolk Council for that funding?
Well, I've got a budget, a locality budget, where I can spend in all sorts of places to benefit the
Yeah,
people
but you don't
around.
have a locality budget for Brandon.
Of course I do.
Brandon Town Council.
Not Brandon Town Council, no.
So
but
that's what I said. Have you made an approach to Suffolk County Council and West Suffolk for that funding that you're asking Brandon Town Council for?
No, not as yet.
Okay, thanks. Are you aware that there are other schemes that assist patients to get to and from hospital appointments?
Am I aware of it?
Yeah.
Well, there's a bus service.
No, there's the non-emergency patient transport service. There's patients who make claims for hospital transport costs, and there's the Connecting Communities Transport Service, which is set up for that purpose. If you're asking, as a district and county councillor, shouldn't you be making sure that those services actually work for the patients, rather than then going off at a tangent and starting...
No, I haven't gone off the tangent. Let me just correct you on that. Let me just correct you. I've had countless people come to me and they're having issues. I really should be discussing this in agenda item number 15. So what I will do, if the lady waits until after agenda 15, if I haven't answered those questions in 15, right, then I will personally answer her questions either through an email or through a letter, because I don't want to preempt. I don't want to preempt
The question is,
the
are you
situation.
aware of those 3 other services?
I'm not aware of everything. No.
Okay, well, I'm informing you.
Yeah, good.
There are services specifically for that issue.
Yeah.
So shouldn't we be making sure that works
Yeah.
rather than starting up another
Well,
service?
I can only be guided by the primary care people. We had a meeting with them, and they made a suggestion on it. I'm not going to continue
Yeah,
this.
I
Chairman.
agree with your
I'm not going
reply,
to.
right, I think
I'm not
that's
going
a
to
fair
preempt. I'm not going to
Yeah, I
preempt
think
because
that's
a
a
lot
fair
of these
comment.
questions might not be actually relevant, depending on how.
I think they're very relevant because it is only one surgery in Brandon that has this issue. So it's not everybody in Brandon that has the issue.
Okay, thank you. Any other members of the public? Annette? And then we'll let you go, Gary, afterwards.
Sorry.
Yeah, you go first, Annette, yeah.
Good evening, everyone. I'm referring my question about the cemetery. The yew trees that are in there are getting very, very large. They're also having ivy entangled within it. There's one particular one that is really, really big, which is very near to 24 Manor House Close. My concern, especially with the wind today, was really blowing it. Now, if that was to come down, it would also hit one of the lime trees and it would literally come forward to the bungalows there. Is there any plans to have them checked? I know they've got preservation, but they are getting really big, and I think you must have seen them when you had your cemetery inspection.
Yeah.
Is there anything going to be
At present, there's nothing planned, but I think we could definitely take another look at them. I think it's worth us having a look. Graham can have a look. I'm sure the town keepers will have a little look, and if any council would like to wander down and have a little look as well, it would be fine. We'll be able to come back to you on it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. All right, we'll have a look and see what we think.
Okay,
Yeah.
I'll get someone out.
Yeah. Okay. Gary.
Yeah, first of all, I'd like to let you all know the Royal British Legion is having its AGM on the 6th of April, 19:30 hours, if anybody cares to attend that evening. We recently had the Best Brandon Awards, and can I thank you, Mr Chairman, for attending that night in your official capacity and presenting one of the awards.
Yeah, it was thrown at me a bit, wasn't it, Gary?
And we put it in magazines, and I'd like to thank the district councillors, Lucannock and Whittam, for their help with the locality budgets. We had over 100 guests on the night, and Lifetime Achievement Awards this year we made 3 awards rather than the usual one, and that was to Mr Lesbarder, Mr John Maxim, and Mr Bill Bishop. And so they got Lifetime Achievement.
I think they were very well deserved.
Brandon in Bloom, it's sort of late news. There was a press embargo and then things didn't fall with the council meetings. But Brandon has been officially nominated to represent the town Suffolk and Anglia in the UK final this year. There'll be 6 towns, so we've got competition from 5 others. We've already seen in various places where a couple of national magazines are actually reported and they have specifically mentioned us. But I think it can only be good for the town. And again, the help with the town keepers that they've given us, really appreciate it. We're sort of cracking on and hope everybody appreciates it.
I think everybody does.
And the final part, and it's actually a question, it could be answered. I know it's in the accounts tonight. There's an item there for flags purchased, Union flags and St George's flags. Could I ask if Brandon Town Councillor are intending, and there's quite a large number, I think there's 30 of each, so are you increasing the number of flagpoles, please?
Probably one for you, Graham, on that one.
We're not increasing the number of flagpoles. There's a number of spares in there just in case. But I believe we've got 25 at the moment. There's scope there for a couple of extras if they're deemed to be required. We've got some for St George's Day, which is coming up, I think. April, is it?
23rd, yeah.
Yeah, 23rd. And then obviously for the coronation.
Yeah, the reason I asked, because obviously Brandon and Bloom were flying before. We've done whatever we could do with the sticks that we used. We didn't have any incidents, unfortunately, over that period. It was more a case of knowing what was going on. We used to fly on several other days, the County Day, Armed Forces Day, and things like that. So we didn't know whether we should be looking at maybe spending some of our funds and replacing the poles, or whether that's something that the town council are going to be looking at in future.
I think it's been talked about. I know from the event side of things, what I've been in some of the meetings, it's been talked about, but obviously we're a little bit with financial at the moment. We're a little bit limited with funds, so we're. I think we can prioritise more things. There's a lot higher up the list in the town than that at the moment. But I think it would definitely be something we need to look at in the future.
On that part there, I mean, there's something possibly that, because Brandon and Bloom have got some funds, it's something that I believe the two parties, we should be working with them maybe, and seeing if we can, because obviously we can go to the local councils to sort their locality for it.
Yeah.
And maybe increase the number of polls that are.
I think certainly something to look at and have a chat about.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions from the public? I'm not seeing anybody. Oh, yes. You down? Yeah. Far away.
Well, Brandon Heritage Centre is reopening on the Maundy Thursday, on the 6th of April. It's been open on a Thursday morning, Saturday 10 till 4 and Sunday 10 till 4. Okay, on that. And can I ask our district councillors, is there any rumour that Barclays Bank is going to has been sold to Domino's?
You answer that one.
Has anybody heard?
I've got no confirmation of that, nothing in writing. I mean, it's just gossip on the high street, and how some of that can be printed, I think is bizarre. You need a communication from somewhere and bring it to the table and demonstrate it. You can't just shoot from the hip and say,
no, I was just asking if district councils...
I haven't heard anything either.
Nothing.
I can honestly say that it's been various places have been talked about, and none of them have been confirmed.
What I can say regarding Domino's is they have been in touch with me about the former fish shop, Collins. That's where their inquiry was, nothing to do with the bank. But that's been so difficult to find out the freeholder of
the
Collins shop, because that is a disaster what is in there. That should really come back into use. I'm determined to do something about that. But finding the owner, you can find the owner, but he might not necessarily want to sell it.
That's right. Another thing regarding sort of Barclays, right? We've lost our bank a couple of years back, and we've all had to go to Thetford. Then Thetford closed in November of last year, and I was told that Thetford Barclays or Mildenhall Barclays, either one would have to close. Thetford closed. Now Mildenhall is going to be closed in June. You know, Barclays is making quite a lot of money, and we keep losing our Barclays branches, like the sub-branch at Bury St Edmunds, a sub-branch at Kings Lynn, next to Poundland, closed that. Now, we lost ours, we lost the one at Swaffham. You know, soon we'll have to go and get our money from London, the way they're working. You know, they are making a lot of money, and I can't see the reason why they have to keep closing all these branches. They keep saying all people have got online banking, but shops still need change for the shops. You know, it seems ridiculous.
Can you not go into the post office?
Yes, we can go to the post office. That is quite correct. But I'm saying about the change. Post offices do not like to give change to the shop people because they need money for themselves, for, you know, pension legal stamps, the post office, etc., etc. But there are certain bills that you cannot pay at the post office unless you pay a fee. And also there are things that you want to discuss at a branch regarding financial matters. which you cannot do at the post office. And I'm saying it's very unfortunate that we're in the middle, where we've lost our branch, Thetford lost their branch, Milton Hall is now going to lose their branch. You know, who wants to keep going to perhaps Bury or Lynn or Newmarket?
Yeah.
And how safe are those branches?
I thought the one at Newmarket was closing as well.
I haven't heard that, but I do use Newmarket myself.
Yeah, it is. It's closing.
That's closing.
I think that was on the news tonight, wasn't it? Newmarket, Colchester, and
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks for that, Councillor Ridgewell. Is that everybody? Okay. We'll move on. Okay. Number 9, correspondence. I don't think we've had anything this month, have we, guys? Okay. We'll move on to item number 10, the accounts then. I'll propose them. A second before. Councillor Whitman, seconded. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a quick question, Graham. We spent £5,000 plus on highways design. I'm assuming that's for the new cemetery. I'm just wondering whether I can come in the office and have a look exactly what the design is sometime this week.
Yeah, that's the entrance and exit.
Okay. What would be a good day, Graham?
Towards the end of the week, we've got minutes.
Perhaps you could email Councillor the time to come in for him. Yeah?
Yeah.
Would that be all right?
That'd be fine. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Just check
Thank
the
you,
time.
Graham.
Yes, Councillor Ridgewell.
Sorry.
That's all right, don't worry.
Okay. We seem to be spending quite a lot of money every month. And there's roughly £44,000 just this month alone. But the query that I want an answer for, we spend a lot of money on these lanterns and street columns. But I've always understood, and I've seen it in black and white, that we pay the utility people for the columns and the lanterns. But I see on this accounts, we're paying it to Suffolk County Council.
Yes.
So you pay the utility people for the electric, basically.
No.
Yeah.
No, we paid Suffolk for electricity.
No, we've never paid it to the county council for the street.
We have always been paying it to Suffolk County Council because they do the maintenance.
Okay.
All right.
There is
paper in black and white.
I have actually put a stop on them doing things at the moment.
Yeah.
Okay, any other comments? We'll move to vote. Okay, those in favour of the accounts? Everybody got
Yeah.
it? Okay, we'll move on to item number 11, which is to receive income and expenditure statement against the budget for January. We've all seen it, we'll just note that. Okay, we'll move on to item number 12, which is a grant application, discussion to consider an S137 grant for Brandon Heritage Centre Trust. Normally at this point we'd let... do you want to say anything on this behalf as you're here, Gary?
Well, that's why I came up, but I provided a fair piece of information.
Yeah.
So
Normally people just say a couple of words if you want to say anything.
Any questions, I would be here to answer for them.
Okay, have we got any questions before we move to agree? Yep. Yeah, fine.
Do we need a proposal in a second?
Who's going to propose? We've got a proposal in a second. You're proposing, are you?
I'll propose it.
Yeah, okay, seconder for me. Either one, yeah, Junie's done it, okay,
Yeah.
now carry on.
I know, you mentioned you want a musket. Have you tried Leeds Armoury? Have you tried Leeds Armoury or something to borrow one? Because I mean, that's what museums normally do. They sort of share their displays, and it just seems an awful lot of, your intentions starts at 3,500. Well, that's an awful lot of money. Whereas if you could borrow one, small fee. I mean, do you investigate that side of things?
Yes, we have. Museums will only lend you any exhibits if you are accredited, which we're working towards. When Darren Norton took over the Heritage Centre, when it nearly closed, I think 4 or 5 years ago, we started the process. Every single item's got to be logged. The cabinets that we've upgraded to are fine for the things we've got. But for instance, if we wanted to go and borrow the flint necklace that's there, believe it or not, that flint necklace has got to go in an air-conditioned cabinet, which we don't have. So if we went to the Royal Armouries, again, that would be something there. We would have to be putting it in an air-conditioned cabinet, which is just, at the moment, is way beyond our means. And so is the other equipment. But we're trying to build up some reserve funds so that when we are in a position to, we can look at any of these options.
Okay.
Just because I found it a bit confusing, Gary, but how much money is needed for the door and the windows, replacement door and windows?
Style windows quoted as £50 short of 4,000.
Right. So you're asking the town council for 1,800, and you're sort of match funding about 2,200.
Yeah, 1975.
Yeah. So I mean, I think it's what we've got down here is really fantastic. It's open 6 months of the year, every weekend. They've got 21 volunteers. Let's just give them a bit of support and say we're backing them. Brandon Heritage Centre. And by the way, I've put the declaration of interest in the book. I've put that in the book. Thank you. The Heritage Centre has not had a penny off Brandon Town Council, and I stand to be corrected on this, but I think it's even pre-COVID days. You've had nothing since pre-COVID days. And the last time Brandon Heritage Centre come up here, they asked for £400, and they didn't get it because they had £9,000 in the bank. And I thought that was a bit mean on behalf of Brandon Town Council. They are good people up there, and there shouldn't be any animosity between people. They're doing a great, and they deserve. We've got the money, in my opinion. Brandon Heritage Centre deserve this 1,800 quid, and I think for those people who never go up there, try and go up there and try and see what we've got up there. Look how much work some of the people have put in up there, including our good friend here, Councillor Ridgewell. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Any other comments before we move to vote on that? You're voting or comment?
No, I was going to comment.
Any other comments? Yeah.
Yes, I would like to propose that we make a contribution, most certainly, but I think that amount of money when they've got what they have in the bank, I think is too much. Because we've already spoken about reducing, because of the circumstances now, reducing the grants that we hand out, and I think that we should look to making a contribution.
I agree.
Okay. Yes.
Well, I would say this is a contribution which is being match funded by the Heritage Centre itself, and having money in the bank which is already earmarked for other parts of the Heritage Centre, I don't think should be held against them. After all, money was given to the church when they had an extraordinarily large amount on their bank account. Money was given to Abbeycroft Leisure when they had an extraordinarily large bank account with no qualms whatsoever. But whenever, and I agree, it's every time the Heritage Centre in recent years has come towards us, oh no, because you've got money in the bank. So I don't think that should be held against them. And the other monies, if you read through this, are earmarked for other projects which further enhance. So it's not as if that money isn't already accounted for that shows on their account. So I think we should give it to them, and it's not an excessive amount, and they are match funding it from their own resources, so I think we should give them that amount.
Okay, well, if there's no
Have we got that money left in this year's Section 137?
I believe we have.
I'm just looking, and
I'm pretty sure we have.
3,200 we've got.
We have actually. Yes, we have. Yeah. So if there's no other proposal on the table, we will move to a vote.
I'll propose.
Are you questioning or voting?
I'd propose.
Yeah, you've done it. You've already done it. Yeah, we've already got the proposal on the table, so we'll vote for it. Yeah.
Yep.
So those in favour of giving them the 1,975? Yeah. Yeah.
6.
Yeah. And then, so we want anybody against? One.
On.
Are you for? You're for, right. So 1 against. Any abstentions?
Yeah.
Councillor, okay. 1 abstention. So that's fine. You'll get the money in due course.
Thank you.
Sorry. What was the score?
4-0.
No, it's not that.
I've got 6-4.
In extra time.
6-4-1. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. 6 again, 1, 6, 1, 1. 6-4, 1 against, 1 abstention. Yeah. Okay, we'll move on to item number 13, to note the minutes of the events committee meeting on the 8th of February and the 1st of March. We'll just note those. Item number 14, to note the minutes of the planning committee held on the 6th of March. We'll just note that one. Item number 15 is a resolution from Councillor Caniac, so I'm going to hand over to him.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I get suspicion this is the one we've been waiting for.
Have you got a second?
Yeah.
I certainly will be asking for a second.
You do that before you start.
Well, we've all read the resolution, and I'm seeking a seconder. And would Councillor Palmer second the motion?
No, Councillor Palmer won't.
Okay. Do I have a seconder?
Councillor Wetton seconded.
Could you minute that, please, Graham? That Councillor Palmer didn't want to second the motion.
Yeah.
Thank you, Graham. When I submitted this resolution, I was working on a figure of about 16 patients a week. That's 1 minibus per week. Since then, I've had extra detail from the primary care people, and there is the detail, and I will pass it on to Graham at the end of the night. We're now talking about 50 to 70 patients weekly. That's 5 minibuses weekly. That's obviously an extra amount of money. So, Mr. Chairman, I'm going to have to request an amendment to the motion, and I'll be requesting an increase up to £3,000 from the contribution from Brandon Town Council in the Section 137 funds, whether that's for this financial year or next financial. Okay. So I ask Councillor Palmer once again, will you second the amendment to fund the minibus? Please.
I'll take that as a no, is it?
Well, you repeat the same question.
Yeah.
No, well, that's an amendment.
I can't. Look,
is that a yes or a no, Dave?
Just can I read this out?
Okay, yeah.
All right.
I'm striving towards a full philanthropy service for all the patients of the forest surgery to have these blood tests carried out in Brandon, and not having to travel to Mildenhall, Newmarket or Bury St Edmunds, whether it be by their own transport or busting them out of town. These tests could either be done at the Swan Surgery or our new medical centre at Brandon Hub. And I'm standing by that.
Thank you.
I'll second it then.
Thank you, Mr.
So
Chairman.
the amendment is exactly the same.
In
but
seconding,
£3,000.
can I speak?
Yes, of course.
Thank you. This is for, I take fully on board what David has said, and I dearly wish he would work with us rather than against us. I have here an email from Elizabeth Manoni, the NHS Suffolk and North Essex ICB lead. It's also included Margaret Marks and David Palmer, along with Councillor Lukaniak. And it's Elizabeth Maloney's timescale for these full phlebotomy service into Brandon, which she does mention here, but in the short term, and to alleviate the need for people to catch buses, and I am fully aware of hospital cars and other modes which don't seem to operate but on this level, but do take people to hospital appointments per se, and it would be wrong to confuse those with this. And she says here, improved transport provision between Brandon Medical Centre to Mildenhall Community Clinic, and that would be for block bookings. It would be organised by the Forest Surgery, and she's looking for us to help fund the minibus service between Brandon Medical Centre and Mildenhall Community Clinic to support eligible, vulnerable patients to access pre-booked phlebotomy appointments. Now, she's wanting that in less than 3 months to alleviate the immediate problem. Fully agrees that it's totally time limited, and it is only an emergency knee-jerk reaction to overcome the immediate problem. For increased phlebotomy service at the Forest surgery, she's looking at about 3 months, but that will only increase a little bit. It will not cover everybody. To establish a new phlebotomy service in Brandon, she's looking 5 to 6 months, possibly more. And in what she says, there are quite a few hurdles to jump for her to get that into place. And then a sustainable service, Suffolk-wide solution, probably 9 months or so. But this, what Councillor Lukanic's resolution is very much short term. And I would certainly help support it as from my community budget, along with money from Brandon Town Council, and it is helping vulnerable people in this town in the very short term before Elizabeth Maloney and her teams can get these things into place. So
I think Councillor Palmer wanted, then you can more than welcome.
Yes, well,
I haven't finished the presentation, but
okay, you go first then.
Hey, let me just give you some figures on this, right? As I said, that's 5 trips a week. That's £80 per trip. I've had a price from the minibus company. I've done quite a bit of work on this. That's £400 weekly, £1,600 monthly, over a 4-month period, which should perhaps end when the phlebotomy service perhaps kicks in. That'd be just over £6,000, and I would match fund it from Suffolk County Council. I'd put £3,000 in as well. But this is a suggestion made by the primary care people. That's not a suggestion I made. We had a meeting and they put that forward to me, and I thought, well, I'm going to put that forward to the council and put it forward to the people. Right? It's not my idea. That's what. And Graham was with me, and that's what they put forward. The surgery would do all the booking, and that leaves Brandon Town Council to pay the monthly bill for the minibus. The primary care people told me they would block book a phlebotomist, the people would wait for an hour, and they would come back within about an hour. Over there at the Mildenhall Hub, you've got a library, you've got a coffee shop, you've got a viewing area at the swimming pool. So if we drop people off there for a short period, that's not in the back of beyond. That is quite a pleasant place to be for just an hour. So I think we could trial it. We could trial it once, we could trial it twice. If it doesn't work, then we could close it. But I've had countless people come to me about the inconvenience of either getting to Newmarket, which is hell, and hell getting to the Mildenhall Hub as well. People have got an appointment at something like 5:15 in the afternoon. Elderly ladies have come to me. I've had phone calls this weekend, people dubious about the bus service. I've explained it to them and they said, yeah, well, it could work. So basically, I'm asking for the £3,000. It's £3,000 for me. We're short several £100, but we could make that up with our new district councillors in the next financial year. It's not an ideal situation. I realise that it's not an ideal situation, but listen, I think we should try it. And if there is a service and I needed a blood test, I think I'd take up on it. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Councillor Palmer, then Councillor Whitham, and then I think Councillor Everington after that.
yeah, well, over the last 2 weeks I've spoken to probably 67 I've got down here, people in Brandon about the bus service, and not a single person is in favour of it. So who do I represent? My ward members. There's been an article in Brandon Town Council forum about that. There's not one person in there that's in favour of it. So where are your figures coming from? It's a mystery. Then why can't, instead of busing people out to Mildenhall, where there's already a 4-week wait to get an appointment, already a 4-week wait, and you can check on this, why not let them find their own way down to Brandon Hub, where there's a big car park, there's a vacant room with all the services there. What's wrong with the temporary service being there? Give me one good reason.
Mr. Chairman, I've got it here in black and white. There's no plans to get a full phlebotomy service, and you had the same communication last week, Dave. You're not being 100% honest. You had the same communication. We've had the same communication. There's no plans to have a full phlebotomy service between 3 and it looks like 6 to 9 months in Brandon. This bus service is short term. It's an interim thing. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Councillor Wetton, I think you wanted to comment.
Yeah, I did. I was lip reading Councillor Palmer saying that it was a lie, that it was the commissioners and Elizabeth Maloney and the team that we met, that they said, what about a bus service to us? That most definitely wasn't a lie. I was at that meeting, as was Graham Cock, who we included in that meeting to try and include everybody in the meeting. We didn't, I don't think, invite Councillor Palmer because he didn't invite us to his meetings with the same people. We've tried to do everything we can to work together, but and again, he's included in this, so why he's sniping at something that we're trying to put into place that was suggested by the health commissioners as a short-term solution, I do not know. And also, the figures of people requiring this service are coming direct from the Forest Surgery.
Is that you done?
Yeah.
Councillor Everington, I think, was next.
Have you got it in writing that Forest Surgery will organise this?
Yeah, well,
Yes.
they told us
They
verbally.
told you, you've not got it actually in writing, that they will all be
Trust them
organising.
explicitly. And Graham was there.
And what are you going to do when the Brandon surgery decides, well, why should they employ somebody?
Well,
I think it's a dodgy, very dodgy.
well, that's, you're perfectly entitled to your opinion. I think
You
you
go
should
back
be
on that
tried.
then, Councillor.
Nothing ventured, nothing gained.
Yeah, thank you. I will answer that. It's not very dodgy. It says here from Elizabeth Maloney, who is the NHS Suffolk and North Essex ICB lead.
She's not Forest Surgery, no.
She is in contact with Forest Surgery. It is them that are going to be doing the logistics on this. And she says here in black and white, the health providers, the West Suffolk Trust and the Forest Heath PCN have confirmed that they are able to adapt their services, and it's through the Forest Surgery.
Mr. Chairman.
I think Councillor Moore was first. He had to
Go on.
Councillor Kennett, please.
Well, the dear lady at the end of, up the other end of the table there, she did say there were 3 other alternatives where people could find transport. I do believe we do have a community bus round here somewhere.
Connecting Communities, it's
Yes. Now, how I understand that works, I mean, I used to be in coaching, so, you know, you ask for the bus and you book a bus and you get a seat and you go. Now, the point is what Penny just said. If we fund a bus down the High Street, they could turn around and say, well, why are we employing a phlebotomist when there's a bus being funded out of Brandon? And at the same time, if we do fund a bus, I understand people have to get there, but if we set a precedent that we're going to run a bus service, surely that gives, there's problems at the Berryville Surgery at Moon about this sort of thing. They don't want to employ anybody. They say they can't get nobody. I know somebody who desperately wants to do it. but every time she goes and asks or goes to the relevant authorities, she gets told, yes, you can do it with pleasure, but you have to fund your own training. Well, now, that doesn't make sense to me. So therefore, if we fund a bus, that could really upset things all over the place, and I think it could set a precedence where, you know, the other surgery says, well, we don't need to have a phlebotomist, there's a bus going in that Brandon soon, and that could carry on and carry on.
I think Councillor Kenny wanted to come back first.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll just go back to administration. The surgery would have to do all the administration because of data protection on the names of patients, so that would definitely not go through the town council. I can assure you that the only thing Graham would have to do is just pay the minibus driver once a month. But you're not actually going to part with this money because you'll be getting my money from. You will administer the cost basically. If we have 2 or 3 trials and it goes belly up and doesn't work, you've still got that money. You're administering the cost. You're getting the money from the county and the district to the town council. That I haven't got the ability to get my hands on the money. That's why I want the town council to take a small part of the bureaucracy on. I just think it should be trialled. In this business about upsetting the balance, listen, that phlebotomy service won't be in action for at least 4 months. This is the interim. Once that money runs out, £6,400, right? If we don't get any more money, the bus service ends. That's not a limitless pot. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I think Phil and then Councillor Hamilton, and then Councillor as well.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, probably answering Councillor Moore's query about the High Street surgery, saying, oh well, if there's a bus service, why should we provide a phlebotomy service? I think that they would say, more likely, oh well, at least they're trying to do something to cover their short-term loss, gap in service. And it does say here quite plainly from Elizabeth Maloney that she's in discussion that Forest Heath surgery will increase their phlebotomy capacity within 3 months to at least 100 appointments per week at their Brandon Medical Centre here. And that will be funded for them. So I don't know about having been told, I can't comment really on having been told, well, you'd have to fund training yourself, because that wouldn't.
No, that is fair.
Yeah, no, I'm sure of it, but it certainly doesn't ring true for me as a former nurse.
Well, apparently that is.
Although
the person is
nurses now training don't get bursaries, so in effect they do fund their own training. But if it's any consolation, the training I took as a phlebotomist was 2 hours and a day in a surgery with an experienced phlebotomist, and that was me trained. It's not rocket science, I can assure you. Sorry?
You're not signing up then?
I am long since retired.
I think Councillor Everett and then you, Councillor Kenny, and then.
But it is a very temporary service to overcome the immediate need whilst the rest of the plan is put into place. And we have no reason to believe that the plan is in any way dodgy when it comes from the top of the NHS commissioners.
Okay, Councillor Everington, then we'll go Councillor.
Having listened to Councillor Marks last week, she did infer that things were being worked on, and it was quite delicate at the moment, and they hope that they'll get something sorted out. You're not going to get anything done for a month anyway because of the delay at Mildenhall, and I cannot see how it's going to be just for forest surgery. It's not for all of the people of Brandon, because there's the other surgery and it still doesn't cover all blood tests.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Oh, just one brief thing before we move to a vote. There has been a spurious rumour going around the town that the phlebotomy service is coming to the health centre and it will be starting this month. There's no truth in that at all. And a lot of people have said, well, we don't need the bus service because the phlebotomy service is coming. This is the paperwork, and all it says at the top in bold, for planning purposes only. So I just prefer to move to a vote, Chairman, because I think everything has been said.
I will let Councillor as well, because he has been waiting very patiently.
If this bus service comes into operation, will the bus actually go to the person's address, or will the patients have to make their own way to the surgery in Berry Road, or what?
Yeah, that is the plan.
I'm assuming they're going to go to Berry Road.
They would come to the car park here in Berry Road.
Which would be as no different in my opinion as if they were going to do that test.
Because they would normally only go to the surgery. So you meet at the surgery, get picked up at the surgery in a minibus, 16-seater minibus. One was fully legislation, dropped off at Milton Hall, and within an hour they will all come back. If they wish to stay, they can. It's simple. It's worth a try. That's all I can say. Thank you.
And it is a disabled type bus, suitable for disabled people?
Good question. People with mobility issues will not be referred to the bus, but there is room for a wheelchair in the back if you wish to put it in there. But with people with mobility issues, we'll have a blood test in the surgery. Does that answer your question?
What, in the Berry Road service?
Yes.
If they have major disabilities?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, Councillor Brown, and then we'll move to a vote, I think.
Please may I ask, do you propose this service to be free?
That's the intention, yeah. Do you propose the service to have a charge?
Well, it sort of upskittled me a bit when you said you yourself would use it. Here is a man that's got 2 cars, fully licensed, taxed, insured, and can well afford it, would take the use of the bus.
I'm thinking...
I think you're taking the pee-wee again.
No, I think you're exaggerating the thing, Bob.
That's what you said here tonight.
Bob, just calm down a bit. I don't want to get in an argument.
Excuse me?
Right?
It's for
hang on a minute. I'm thinking about the environment. Why should I take my car when I can get a ride in the bus?
Oh, you just
Chair.
come out with them.
Chair.
I love the baloney.
In answer to you, Bob, the criteria that would be applied to people who would be offered places on the bus would be decided by the doctor at the time, at the surgery, asking for the test. And it would be to vulnerable people who would not probably have their own transport, and certainly wouldn't include a counsellor
My state.
and I think he was just saying that as a bit of a jocular bit in the early part, so it's not worth jumping on that.
But does that paper say it's only vulnerable people for the numbers? Or is that the total blood test?
No, it's not the total blood test.
No, it's not. That's for those who are referred.
It's for those that are referred.
But you make
only vulnerable.
But you make a good point about
or elderly, no transport, elderly, slightly infirm. Folk like me, really. And that's a joke.
You make Bob, you make a good point about the cost. No, the service I'm planning is free. Does that answer your question?
Well, that's a little unfair to those people that have to take the bus.
Yeah.
There should be a contribution.
Okay, well we can...
We could include that.
Perhaps you can come on board with us and include a contribution. It's got a car.
I'm not going on no bus.
Chairman, can we move to that?
Yeah, we can move on. Yes, very quickly, yeah.
You just said that severely disabled people can have their blood tests taken at Berry Road.
Well, they do now.
Well, why can't that person who's there then do the rest of the population?
Because it's a qualified nurse who costs minimum of £30,000 a year, where a phlebotomist would be paid the minimum wage, and they don't like a nurse being tied up doing phlebotomy.
It's a nurse that does it.
Yes, because it costs too much money.
But surely if a nurse can do the job of taking the blood, like the lady down where I go in the high street. Surely she could do the same with.
Yeah, but you don't get the MD of a company doing the reception desk, do you?
No. And yes, there will be differences between different surgeries because, well, yeah, you think of it as the NHS. They're not. They're each individual surgery is either part of a company that is a private business or a standalone private business, and they all have their own employment and what have you, terms and conditions for their staff. So you can't compare one surgery to another one. You really can't.
Right, we're moving to a vote, or have you got...
No, I just want to make a comment. It sounds to me there's too many people meddling and we're not going to actually progress anywhere. And I think it should be left to Councillor Palmer, who originally started this, to sort it.
Okay, thanks for your
Your
comments.
opinion?
Yeah. Okay, so we'll move to a vote. So
Could I ask that it be a named vote,
course,
please?
yes,
Can,
of course.
Tell me you got a name. The name comes and it's for going to the name as well.
Yeah, so can you go round the table, Graham,
Yes.
for, against, and
Yeah.
against a name, please?
Right.
Start that way, Graham, work your way around.
Yeah.
We're moving to a vote now with...
You've
Yeah.
got to change the thing because
This is a vote for the amendment. Instead of the 1,000, we're going to 3,000. This is the vote on the amendment. Yeah, so this is a vote on the amendment first.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this is, do you want this named as well? For vote?
Yes, please.
Yes, okay.
And bear in mind, this amount, as Councillor Lucanic says, say we have the bus run for a week and it's a total failure, you'll have spent a few £100.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
The bus service stops because it hasn't worked,
The
you've not
council-
really lost
The
anything.
council holds the money. The council holds. All I say is trial it.
Okay. He's just writing the names down 1 second.
Yeah, okay, I think.
Okay, so this is a vote for the amendment first, and this is also a name vote.
Can you say what the amendment is exactly, please?
So the amendment is, do you want to read it out, or do you want me to do it
Well, no.
for you? Because I can do it.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, correct me if I'm wrong. So Brandon Town Councils resolves to contribute up to £3,000 from the S137 funds towards the cost of transport to Millwall Hub for the phlebotomy patients.
Brilliant.
Is that correct?
That's brilliant.
Here we go.
Right. Councillor Moore?
Abstain.
4.
You need to read the name out.
Oh,
Yeah.
sorry, Councillor Cannick.
4.
Councillor Van.
Against.
Councillor Etherington.
Against.
No one there. Councillor Bridgewell.
4.
Councillor Hughes.
4.
Councillor Browse.
Against.
Against.
Abstain for that one.
Abstaining. So we've got 4.
Yeah. Your abstinence didn't do you any good.
4 against.
Alright. Well, at least that's a fair vote, I think, then. Well, I'm going to say 4 for the amendment, because I think that's fair, then, isn't it? So the amendment is only the amendment. I'll just say 4 for the amendment.
So
Yeah.
Plus 1.
So that's the amendment, and then we're voting on that. Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
Only substantial. Which will
Do it on the same list beside it, perhaps they can write that again.
There's no point in going back to the substantive vote then, is there?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, because that was the vote on the amendment, now we have to vote on the vote. So now we vote for
So
it.
you've got 5.
Alright, so you're-
Yeah, so that's to say the amendment, and now we do a vote for the actual vote.
You're going to attach that to the substantive vote.
Yeah, so that's basically, now we vote, so we voted, the amendment is now in place, and now we vote on the actual
Okay.
proper
Right.
thing.
So
Chairman, I've got nothing further to add, so I prefer to move straight to the vote.
I think that's fair. Let's move straight to the vote. So
So-
around we go again.
Councillor Moore.
Abstain.
Councillor Whittam.
4.
Councillor Cannick.
4.
Councillor Van.
Against.
Councillor Etherington.
Against.
Councillor Ridgewell.
Against.
Councillor Hughes.
Abstained.
Councillor Browse.
Against.
Councillor Palmer.
Against.
Councillor.
Abstain.
Two, four. Five against.
Three abstentions, is that right?
Yeah, three abstentions.
Yeah. So the outcome of that is 2 for, 5 against, and 3 abstentions. Yeah, I'll verify that one as well.
Yes.
All right.
And that's all named, is it,
It's
Chairman?
all named. It's both on there. It's exactly named. If you'd like to check it, you're more than welcome to go around and show you the pad.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. So we'll move on to the next resolution, which again is from Councillor Kenny. So I'll hand over to him.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a little less complicated, obviously. As there's no bus service, I think we should pressurise the primary care people for a full phlebotomy service in Brandon. And I think one of the ways we can do it is by having a petition, and that'll be simply kept. It's a book of signatures, a petition kept in the office downstairs. Once we get 500 or 600 people sign it, I'll willingly take it to the primary care people, and they'll be able to see that we're determined to have the service reinstated. Do I have a seconder?
Councillor Whitman seconded that. I take it you're proposing, yeah?
Yeah.
Any comments on that? Councillor,
I'll make a comment.
I'm going to let Councillor Everton go first because she had that first. Sorry.
Can I make a suggestion that you put it in the library because there's more footfall?
I'm not going to change the amendment because I think on the
No, but you can put it in the library as well, in addition to that.
in addition,
There's more footfall in the library than you have in the old school house.
as long as that we can share the two locations, I'll
Yeah.
make an amendment.
Yes, I mean, there's not a, well, you can put it anywhere. You want to put it
Yeah,
more than
yeah.
one place.
Yeah, I think a petition.
I'm not talking against you.
No.
But I just think that you know, to just put it in old school house.
I'd second that as an amendment.
So the amendment is in here and the library, assuming they will accept it.
Yeah.
Do we really want an amendment for that, or can we just agree? Can we have a?
Just agree on that.
Can we agree on that?
It's going to be here
Can it
anyway.
be
Yeah.
other places, not just the
Yeah,
library?
just other places. I think any other petition.
Yeah, but put it as other
You can walk round
places.
the petition if you want to come.
The Heritage Centre.
And Mr. Chairman, would
And we could also put a copy of it in the surgery.
yeah, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And we can park outside the surgery. And Graham, I'm sure Graham and Jackie could print something out.
Yeah. You finished?
Yeah.
You'll go first?
Yeah, I can just make a comment. In February's edition of Brandon Letter, I request that people contact me regarding their views on phlebotomy service in Brandon, and a very large number did. So I contact all their details, lest their contact details were passed on to Elizabeth Mahoney. So that's doing the same job as your book. In addition, the people, I don't know, probably you don't know about this, there is a website run by the National Health Service called Let's Talk SNE. That's Let's Talk Suffolk and North East Essex website, where people wanting this service with their particular area can put their vote down, just the same as they can in the book. So that service is already there up and running. So a book was just an additional to what's already been done, or is being done. So there's no harm in doing the book.
Good, that's what I'm glad you agree with that.
But I don't really know what it's going to achieve, because all the information's already been gained. To be honest, honestly, I don't know. I just adding to what we already know.
Okay. Any other comments before we move to vote on that? Okay, those in favour of the petition to be in various places around the town? Yeah. Those against? Abstentions? Yeah, one abstention. Okay, that's gone through, so that will be sorted. Yeah. Okay, item number 17 is a resolution to exclude the press and the public. That pursuant to the Public Bodies Act, Admission to Meetings Act 1960, the public and press be excluded from the meeting temporarily due to the confidential nature of the business being discussed. I'll propose, we're going to second. Those in favour of that one? There we go, I'm following you, Phil.
So Phil was seconding that.
Yeah, Phil seconded it.